Sri Lanka in 2013. A Buddhist spiritual leader started on a unique journey. From Katargama in the south, his walk would take him about 470 kilometers to Jaffna in the north. His journey would take him almost a month to complete, with daily stops for prayers and meetings.
I feel very good. Why? Because over here, everybody is very peaceful. This is what I learned. I felt they're very peaceful. And I am doing this pilgrimage representing peace. And we call it Peace Padayatra.
The peace in Sri Lanka is just a few years old. From the early 80s to 2009, a civil war paralyzed the north and eastern Sri Lanka. The Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, or LTTE, was fighting for a separate homeland for the Tamil population in the north and the northeast. The war raged for almost 3 decades, and there were reports of excesses on both sides. Author and journalist Padma Rao Sundarji has been writing on Sri Lanka for years. She has seen the conflict in Sri Lanka up close on her trips to report on the civil war. Often she would need to travel in military aircraft to get to ground zero.
I have been on several such flights taken up by the Sri Lankan Air Force, and many times we have carried empty coffins up from Colombo and brought back coffins with the bodies of extremely young boys from the war, and we would be sitting around them holding up IV bottles. I could hear these boys groaning and crying, and they were crying for their friends, their dead friends, whose coffin was next to them. So it was a very bitter and very brutal war.
In 2009, the Sri Lankan army defeated the LTTE and ended the war. Almost 120,000 people were dead.
Well, during the civil war, the country was absolutely ripped asunder. I mean, the country was devastated. And when I say the country, I mean north of the de facto border that existed at the time, which started about 270 kilometers north of Colombo, northeast of Colombo. There was complete devastation and destruction.
The only silver lining was that it was a chance for Sri Lanka to move past its history of bloody conflict. But it wasn't going to be easy.
I was seeing the emergence of a new country. I was seeing the emergence of a great relief. It was like, the lifting of a pall of gloom.
The Gyalwang Drukpa is the head of the Drukpa lineage of Tibetan Buddhism, which was founded in the 12th century. Unlike other Buddhist spiritual leaders, he isn't content leading a life of prayer and meditation. He believes in engaging directly with the real world for positive change. In 2013, he wanted to take his message of peace directly to the people in Sri Lanka.
Many people, they think the peace is, no war, nothing. So it's a peaceful. No war means it's peace. Yes, it's some sort of peace, yes. But if you don't respect each other, There is true peace is not there. Yes, I'm happy, I'm peaceful. Why? Because I'm strong. Nobody can harm me. So I'm peaceful. Yes, but I'm not respecting you. Or I'm not respecting somebody else. Somebody else will be suffering, is suffering a lot.
A year after her book, Sri Lanka, the New Country, was published, Padma hits the road in this island country to see if Sri Lanka has moved forward from the conflict that left its north devastated. Sri Lanka is a small island country in the Indian Ocean with a population of about 20,270,000. It's a multicultural nation with Sinhalas in the majority, Sri Lankan Tamils in second place, with Tamils of Indian origin in third position. Today, it has one of the highest per capita incomes in South Asia and a growing economy. Only a few visible signs remain of its troubled history. Mangala Samaravira took office in 2015 as a minister in the new government in Sri Lanka. He talks about the end of war and the path ahead.
People kept saying that all they want to is to lead a good life, and many of them wanted to go back to the land and also the ability to continue with their livelihoods. They also appreciate that there is normalcy where people are able to express themselves, walk about without fear as they used to. I mean, now that there is peace, now that the war is over, and now that want to establish a durable peace, I think the presence of army must be gradually decreased, and civilian life should come back to normal as it has in other parts of the country. And the army is aware of that.
Today, the army plays a different role in peacetime than the one it did during the war. It works on building homes for the displaced, rehabilitating ex-LTTE cadres, and supporting the civil administration. Major General Amal Karunashekhara is the commander of Kilinochchi, which was once in the control of the LTTE.
We have been fighting for a long period, but from 2009 straight away transform a fighting army to a peace supporting army is a huge effort, and we have very well undertaken that activity, and we have been supporting the civilians to improve their normalcy in these areas. Those who are displaced and the rehabilitated cadres, their house needs were we supported. Now the government machinery has taken over most of the civilian administration work, but still the armed forces are supporting the civilians and also the government sector wherever the requests come.
Many Tamils living in the Kilinochchi district travel to lands that are still under the army to seek employment. Farms run by the army employ them and give them an opportunity to make a living.
My name is Tarsini. 32 வயசு. சொந்த இடங்களும் வச்சு 2 பிள்ளைகள் இருக்கு. இடம்பெயர்ந்து போய்க்குள்ள தான் செல் வந்து விழுந்து மனுஷன் காயப்பட்டது. அதோட செத்துட்டேன். நானும் 2 பிள்ளைகளும் இருக்கிறேன். அவள் கஷ்டத்தால் தான் இங்கே வேலைக்கு வந்தது. வந்தப்போ இதில் 2 வருஷம் ஆகும் வேலை செய்யறது. இந்த வருமானத்தை எடுத்து இதில் வர சம்பளத்தை எடுத்து தான் ஒரு சீட்டுகளை போட்டு ஒரு லோனெல்லாம் எடுத்து அதை எடுத்து தான் அந்த வருமானத்தை குடும்பத்தை கொண்டு வரேன்.
During her years reporting on the war, Padma had met these young women who had been LTTE fighters.
Hi, hello girls, how are you?
Some of them had been forcibly abducted by the LTTE at very young ages and forced to become child fighters. The Sri Lankan army had inducted them in order to rehabilitate them at the end of the war. Anderson Pradha was kidnapped by the LTTE when she was just 13. Today she's 23 and works as a clerk for the army headquarters in Kilinochchi. She's the sole earning member in her family.
இப்போ பரவாயில்ல, இதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப கஷ்டமாக இருந்தது. நான் இந்த ஜொப்புக்கு வந்த பிறகு பரவாயில்ல. நான் தான் தங்கச்சியாக்கெல்லாம் படிப்பிக்கிறேன். வீட்டை அம்மா அப்பா பார்க்குறது நான் தான்.
The training was also a step forward in the reconciliation process between the Tamil and the Sinhalese.
சிங்களம் சொல்லிக் கொடுத்தாங்க, கிளாஸ் மாதிரி தான், ஸ்கூல் மாதிரி தான், எப்படி எப்படி சொல்லிக் கொடுத்தாங்க. இது பயிற்சி என்றது பெருசாக கஷ்டம் இல்லை. அப்படி இல்லை, வந்த புதுசில் அவங்களோட பாஷை தெரியாமல் இருந்தது, கஷ்டமாக தான் இருந்தது. பிறகு அவங்களோட கதைச்சி பழைய அவங்களோட பாஷை தெரிஞ்சு எங்களோட பிரச்சனைகளை அவங்களுக்கு சொல்லி தெரிஞ்சுக்கொண்டு இப்போ இவங்க எங்களுடைய ஆக்களை விட இவங்க ரொம்ப நல்லவங்க, பழகி பார்த்தா தெரியும்.
This time, the girls are already more confident, they're willing to talk, they're speaking fluent Sinhalese in many cases, and the Sinhalese are learning Tamil, which is also a very nice, situation, a nice sign that there is confidence in both communities, growing confidence in each other in both communities.
In 2013, the Gyalwang Drukpa's walk took him to Adams Peak, where he and his followers climbed 12,000 steps after having walked 187 kilometers in his mission to pray for a lasting peace. Kumaran Padmanathan, or KP as he's better known, was the principal fundraiser and arms smuggler in the LTTE. In 2009, at the end of the war, the Sri Lankan military arrested him in Malaysia and brought him back here. Today, as per the terms he worked out with the government during his arrest, he follows his dream of working with children. He runs 4 orphanages in Kilinochchi and the Mullaitivu area.
We are proud in this 7 years. A lot of changes are going on, but still have the remaining some small things like a land issue, economic reasons. But this one will need some more time to sort it out. You see, the security reason, nobody can negotiate with the national security. So they need some time to sort it out.
For lasting peace between the 2 major communities in Sri Lanka, there need to be specific measures that build confidence in the people. The government has a plan that it hopes does just that.
Someone said the absence of war does not mean that there is peace. Because even though, as I said earlier, even though the armed forces in Sri Lanka managed to defeat terrorism in 2009, we were not able to defeat the causes which led to that problem. So that is why now we have started to address many of these issues.
The government is in the process of rolling out 2 programs to help people affected by the war. The Truth Seeking Mechanism and the Office of Missing Persons will help families get closure. These organizations will investigate and either trace their missing relatives or let people know what exactly happened to them. Another initiative that's under consideration is a commission to officially investigate if there were excesses committed by the Sri Lankan armed forces during the war. People along the way welcomed the Gyalwang Drukpa as he marched on carrying his message of peace. That gave him a chance to interact with Sri Lankans firsthand and understand that no one here wanted to return to the days of conflict.
I think people over here, they learn a lot in a harsh way. So now they are really ready to go ahead for further happiness and further, development of understanding and the development of economies, etc., etc.
Over the past few years, the process of rebuilding lives and infrastructure has begun. But there are pockets that were once caught in the crossfire of the war and still remain neglected. The fishing villages of Punarin continue to face post-war challenges.
போர்க்காலத்துக்கு முன்னர் எங்களுடைய தொழில் வளங்கள் குறைவாக இருந்தது. தொழிலாளர்களுடைய குடும்ப எண்ணிக்கைகள் தொழில் வளங்கள் குறைவாக இருந்தது. ஆனால் நாங்கள் நிம்மதியாக சுதந்திரமாக தொழில் செய்யக்கூடிய வாய்ப்பு இருந்தது. போர் நடந்த நேரத்தில் 2 பகுதி நேரம் சண்டை பிடிக்கிற இடத்துல நாங்கள் இருக்க இயலாது. நாங்கள் அந்த இடத்தை விட்டு எங்களோட உயிர் வாழ்வுக்காக நாங்கள் பின்வாங்க வேண்டிய தேவை இருந்தது. அப்போ அந்த பின்வாங்க வேண்டிய தேவையில் எங்களோட தொழில் உபகரணங்கள் கலன்கள் எல்லாம் அழிக்கப்பட்டது.
எங்களோட சொந்த இடம் மயிலிட்டி. இன்றைக்கு அங்கே இன்னும் விட இல்லை. அங்கே பெரிய வளமான இடம், பெரிய ஹாவர் இருக்குது. இப்படி போட்டு நாங்களாம் அப்படி போட்டு தான் நாம்.
Along with the government, international non-government organizations work closely with the people to help them recover from the losses due to the war.
இப்போ லாஸ்ட் 4 இயர்ஸாக ஒர்க் பண்ணி கொண்டிருக்கேன். ஆரம்ப கட்டமாக நாங்கள் மக்களுக்கு அப்போ தான் வந்திருக்க போட் சரி அல்லது நெட் இன்ஜின் சரி பேசிக்கான சப்போர்ட்டெல்லாம் செய்து வந்தோம். அதுலேருந்து விடுபடுறதா இல்லை. சப்போர்ட் ஆகினா அப்படி நாங்கள் செய்தது காரணம் ஆரம்பத்தில் அவர்கிட்ட எந்த ஒரு இதுவுமே இல்லை.
Almost a month into his peace march, the Gyalwang Drukpa reached Jaffna in the north, which had been at the center of the war. He held a prayer meeting here, as he had done in many other places during his epic walk.
We were doing prayers for those people who died. We are here as a spiritual pilgrims. We really have to pray for them and pray for those people who are alive here.
People in post-war Sri Lanka have known peace for a few years already. The only remaining voices of separatism seem to be increasingly isolated.
Nobody talk about the Tamil Ilam now on the ground. Who is talking in diaspora because of their own survival? That is for a while, will continue, but nothing damage here. Here on the ground, the people are very happy. They understand. They need that, they want to send their children to school and they want to improve their life, they want the houses, they want.
எதிர்காலம் நாங்கள் இப்போ நல்லா நாங்களாம் படிப்பு இல்லாமல் இப்படி போனால் எங்களோட பிள்ளைகள் நல்லா வழியாக வரணுமென்று தானே எதிர்பார்க்குறோம். வேறு ஒன்றுமே இல்லை. எங்களோட பிள்ளைகளாம் நல்லா நிலைமைக்கு கொண்டு வந்துட்டு எங்களோட காலம் யுத்த காலத்தில் படிப்பு அப்படி இல்லாமல் போயிட்டு தானே இப்போ எங்களோட காலத்தில் நாங்கள் உழைச்சி எங்களோட பிள்ளைகளை படிக்கணும் நம்ம எதிர்பார்க்குறோம்.
The notion of separatism will always be there within a limited circle. These rumors of regrouping of the LTT here or abroad are being spread by vested interests who really want to see the ugly head of separatism raising its head again in this country for their own narrow political purposes. but there is absolutely no proof of any such regrouping. And of course, even if there were to be, I believe it will be the Tamil people themselves who will nip it in the bud, because they suffered far too much during the last 30 years because of these misguided policies.
போரை பொறுத்த வகையில் அது ஒரு அரசாங்கம் தான் எங்களோட போராளிகளும் தான் அது ஒரு பிழையான விடயம் உண்டு. ஆரம்பமாகின காலத்திலேருந்தே அது 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 நல்ல சரியென்று சொல்ல மாட்டோம், அது பிழை தான். ஆனால் அதுக்குள்ள நாங்கள் நிறைய அனுபவிச்சிருக்கிறோம், நிறைய பிரச்சனைகள் அனுபவிச்சிருக்கிறோம் உண்டு. காலம் எல்லோரும் போல நல்ல மாதிரி நாங்களும் வாழணும், எங்களோட பிள்ளைகளை நல்லபடியாக வாழ வைக்கணும்ன்றதும் தான் எங்களோட எதிர்காலம்.
Yet we have to give a room to others. Room means in the sense that whatever they have to give to the world or the nation in order to create some more peace, we have to let them to do it. At the same time, we have to have a principle also, we as a Buddhist. So this is what I believe.
I get the feeling, the very happy and positive feeling, that Sri Lanka has learned its lessons. I do believe that there is a new and more mature approach to ensuring that harmony carries on as it did for thousands of years, and the ugly head of separatism and chauvinism, the ugly twin heads of separatism and chauvinism, are unfounded fears and will never rise again.
30 years we fight. We lost everything. Why we cannot wait another 10 years to solve the problem?
The optimism in Sri Lanka is evident in the smiles of the people. Different ethnic communities are learning to understand each other. By all indications, Sri Lanka is well on its way to a peaceful and prosperous future.